The C dominant ninth, sharp fifth, sharp 11th may look intimidating on paper, but on the piano, it's surprisingly logical once you see how the notes stack. It's a rich jazz color chord that sounds modern, tense, and expressive. I've used it in jazz turnarounds, gospel endings, and film-style progressions when a dominant chord really needs to pull forward. Let's break it down step by step and hear how each inversion shifts the mood and harmonic weight. Root position. In root position, we keep C in the bass and stack the chord tones above it. Here's what I've noticed. This version sounds the most stable and textbook, even though the chord itself is very colorful. When I play it slowly, it really shows the full identity of the chord. Dominant tension, bright extensions, and that slightly crunchy altered sound. This is usually the version I start with when teaching students because it makes the structure clear before we move to the smoother inversions. Inversion 1, bass E. Now we move E to the bass, and suddenly the chord feels lighter and more flowing. I've tested this in real progressions, and honestly, this inversion works beautifully when you want the harmony to move forward without sounding too heavy. Pianists often use this version in jazz ballads or smooth gospel transitions because the bass note blends naturally into nearby chords. Inversion 2, bass G sharp. With G sharp in the bass, the chord starts sounding more dramatic. This is where the altered color really jumps out. From my experience, this inversion works great when you want tension before a resolution, for example, right before a return to F major or a strong tonic chord. It's not the most common voicing beginners use, but once you hear it in context, it makes perfect musical sense. Inversion 3, bass B flat. Putting B flat in the bass gives the chord a deeper jazz club kind of sound. Here's what I've noticed. This inversion feels heavier and more expressive, almost like it's leaning into the blues side of the harmony. I often use it when comping behind singers because it supports the melody without sounding too plain. Inversion 4, bass D. With D in the bass, the chord suddenly feels more open and modern. This one surprised me the first time I used it in a real progression. It sounded smoother than expected and connected beautifully between nearby chords. If you're playing contemporary jazz, fusion, or even cinematic music, this inversion can sound very polished. Inversion 5, bass F sharp. Finally, when F sharp moves to the bass, the chord becomes the most tense and colorful version of all. In my experience, this inversion is perfect when you want maximum pull toward the next chord. It's bold, slightly edgy, and really useful in advanced jazz progressions or dramatic endings. I don't use it all the time, but when I do, it definitely grabs attention.